Turn up the heat this summer. Get propane delivery straight to your door with Cinch. CYNCH. It's easy and convenient to order, and Cinch brings the tanks to your home on your schedule. Just go to cinch.com, that's CYNCH.com. Select your delivery date and drop-off location, and Cinch handles the rest. Now, new customers can get their first propane tank exchange for just $10 when they use promo code TANK10 at checkout. Cinch. Propane grill tank home delivery. Limited time offer. Restrictions apply. Visit CYNCH.com/offer for details.
Have you been to Express lately? People can't get enough of their clothes. They're like instant confidence boosters. The jeans come in a temp control fabric that keeps you comfortable no matter the weather. And the t-shirts, hands down, they'll feel like they're made of the softest fabric you've ever worn. And get this, the suits have stretch and look sharp. Like, what? How do they do that? Everyone's raving about the newest looks from Express. Just check out the 5-star reviews. See for yourself and shop the latest at express.com and in stores.
Hey guys, this is Tom. This is a sort of bonus episode. We do these every once in a while when there's something somewhere else on the Buckeye Scoop podcast network that we think, that's really interesting. I bet our subscribers would really enjoy that. This one is a episode of Scoop World Order with Kirk Barton and Nevada Buck. Nevada had another really interesting piece of information this morning, some interesting new nuggets on conference expansion. We just did an episode of the Buckeye Weekly podcast earlier in the week, Tony and I, about conference expansion. I know that's a topic that a lot of people are really interested in, and I thought this is something that people would probably enjoy hearing a little bit more about. Some new developments regarding the Pac-12, how some of the different schools out there may be changing some of their thinking on some of this and might make it even more likely that something really crazy with conference expansion could happen. So definitely check this one out. I think you guys will enjoy it. And if you do enjoy it, go ahead and subscribe to the Scoop World Order podcast. You can find that on, wherever you get the Morning Scoop, wherever you get Buckeye Weekly, you can find Scoop World Order and all of the other great podcasts from Buckeye Scoop. Just search Buckeye Scoop and you'll find them, and you can subscribe right there. I do think you guys will enjoy that show. It is a lot of new information about a subject that has gotten a lot of attention recently, and which I think people find really interesting because it's going to really impact the future of college football. So hope you enjoyed this bonus episode of Scoop World Order in your Buckeye Weekly feed. Tony and I will have another episode of Buckeye Weekly, a traditional episode coming up this weekend. And if you want even more conference expansion talk, on Sunday's Morning Scoop, we'll have Bill Bender on from the Sporting News to talk a whole bunch about different possibilities and potential additions for the Big Ten. So that's all coming up a little later on in the weekend. But in the meantime, please enjoy this bonus episode of Scoop World Order.
Welcome to the Scoop World Order special expansion audio video nugget edition. We have my good friend Nevada Buck on the line. Nevada, you got a new nugget out today, the latest in expansion. This has been one of the craziest off seasons, maybe the craziest off season in the history of college football. Give me a little bit about what you've learned today regarding expansion talks.
Well, Kirk, thanks for having me on the show. The expansion things have been a really a hot topic, and what I'd say is expansion has been kind of a tale of two organizations, and the first one we'll kind of take a step to the side. I won't say a step back, but a step to the side, and talk about how the SEC has handled things, and the movement of Texas and Oklahoma to the SEC was really a shock to the Texas A&M people, who had really viewed this as a betrayal. They viewed this as something where they had been assured they would be the only Texas school in the SEC. They felt like they'd been lied to, and when this news broke, they really they were threatening legal action. They were threatening to potentially move. They had made very, very informal inquiries to other conferences about moving, and they went to Greg Sankey to kind of air their grievances. The commissioner of the SEC, and he basically said, if you don't like it, here, go. And what happens? They vote, and they vote for the expansion. And that you and I have talked about so many times. That's strong leadership, and that's what the SEC has right now. And unfortunately for the Big, they don't have that. But I thought that was kind of an interesting story of how a strong leader handles a person that's unhappy about something that's going to come in that's to the benefit of the organization. They just basically told them, hey, shut up and vote for this.
Yeah, and I love that because, they probably, stomped around and, were upset for a minute. But, at the end of the day, they look at how much money they're going to make off the new SEC TV deal and future SEC TV deals and how powerful of a conference that has just become. I mean, they're already the number one conference. Then you add 2 A-list blue blood programs that, both potentially could make the college football playoff. I mean, Oklahoma's been a mainstay in the playoff. And then, you add that to Bama, LSU, Auburn, Florida, Georgia. And I mean, you're just like, holy cow. So they expand their footprint. They get 2 A-list programs. And now, the rest of the conferences are looking like, the Big 12 is basically dead in the water. They're going to be like an American conference level deal. And then the Big 10 and Pac-12 are kind of looking at each other like, hey, maybe we should get together, man, because it's like the giant blob that just keeps gobbling stuff up is what the SEC has become. And they're picking right now. It's not like they're recruiting, they're choosing. It's like we're talking about like Ryan Day with quarterbacks. Like he chooses his quarterback, he doesn't recruit him anymore. He's that good at it. And that's what the SEC is becoming. And the Big 10 better get rocking because it's, we're getting left in the dust right now. And it's, thankfully Ohio State is good enough to still make it, but the depth of that conference and the strength of that conference and the mantra, it just means more. And if you want to play against the best, you got to come to the SEC. Like they're just making that stronger by the day.
Yeah, well, there's no doubt. And, what's a good thing for the Big Ten and what's fortunate for the Big Ten right now is much like Ohio State views themselves as kind of the flagpole of the Big Ten, you've got a similar situation out in the Pac with USC. USC views themselves as kind of the strength of the Pac-12. They've been there since the beginning. They're the preeminent football team and organization, and they're really looked for their leadership, both on the field and off the field for that conference. And what the power brokers at USC have determined is they need to break out of the Pacific time zone, and that they're viewed right now as a regional program, and that the path forward for them is to be seen as a national program like they've been in the past and really become a more relevant player in terms of the college football playoff and the playoff expansion and the national championship. Because if you really think about it, when we talk about the teams that are in the run for the national championship and, the teams that kind of have a say in this whole thing in terms of moving the dial, USC is not one of them anymore. And that was unthinkable 15 years ago. And now, they're increasingly becoming irrelevant. And what the USC power brokers view their path to relevance is joining up with another conference and expanding out of the Pacific time zone and becoming a national player. And that is really enduring to the benefit of the Big in these expansion talks, despite our weak leadership in the Big, because they've engaged Fox and they've told Fox that they want to come, they would be willing to move. And they're willing, up until now, they've been saying they would only move if they had UCLA with them. Now they're saying, we'd like UCLA to be with us, but if it was Washington, if it was Oregon, if it was Arizona, if it was Utah, if it was Colorado, as long as there's one other school that'll move with us, we'll go. And so they've kind of put that to the broadcast partners, and now it's incumbent upon the broadcast partners to convince the conferences in general and the Big in particular that this is in their financial best interest to expand.
Have you been to Express lately? People can't get enough of their clothes. They're like instant confidence boosters. The jeans come in a temp control fabric that keeps you comfortable no matter the weather. And the t-shirts, hands down, they'll feel like they're made of the softest fabric you've ever worn. And get this, the suits have stretch and look sharp. Like, what? How do they do that? Everyone's raving about the newest looks from Express. Just check out the 5-star reviews. See for yourself and shop the latest at express.com and in stores.
Switching to Geico is a good idea, especially when you consider everything.
First off, Geico makes it easy to switch. They have licensed agents available 24/7 online or over the phone.
But if it's so easy, you might start thinking everything is easy, even big wave surfing. And it's not. It's actually quite difficult.
Well, if you switch to Geico, you could save hundreds on car insurance. And you could keep saving by bundling your motorcycle, boat, and RV, plus your home or renter's insurance.
But saving money might lead you to make some questionable purchases, like a 20-foot feather boa. And do you know how hard it is to clean a 20-foot feather boa?
Well, they do have an industry-leading mobile app you can use to pay your bill, file and manage a claim, or add a new driver.
But when life gets a little easier, it makes you too confident, and you start calling everyone Ace. And you're better than that.
Well, Geico has a 97% customer satisfaction rating and has been saving people money for 85 years. It's hard to beat that.
But you're right.
Switch to Geico. It's obviously a good idea. Switching to Geico is a good idea, especially when you consider everything.
First off, Geico makes it easy to switch. They have licensed agents available 24/7 online or over the phone.
But if it's so easy, you might start thinking everything is easy, even big wave surfing. And it's not. It's actually quite difficult.
Well, if you switch to Geico, you could save hundreds on car insurance. And you could keep saving by bundling your motorcycle, boat, and RV, plus your home or renter's insurance.
But saving money might lead you to make some questionable purchases, like a 20-foot feather boa. And do you know how hard it is to clean a 20-foot feather boa?
Well, they do have an industry-leading mobile app you can use to pay your bill, file and manage a claim, or add a new driver.
But when life gets a little easier, it makes you too confident, and you start calling everyone Ace. And you're better than that.
Well, Geico has a 97% customer satisfaction rating and has been saving people money for 85 years. It's hard to beat that.
But you're right.
Switch to Geico. It's obviously a good idea.
I mean, it'd be shock and awe if it happened. I think it would be amazing to see USC in the Big Ten. I think, really any of, if you added Colorado, Oregon, UCLA, Arizona State, I know Arizona State's probably the furthest reach just because of the academic status, but it would be amazing to do it. And I think that something's going to give, because you can't just sit still and let the SEC become this massive powerhouse. I mean, you got to, these other guys, there's going to be in about 4 conferences, and they're going to have different, tiers almost. And I just think that SC and Ohio State basically have to come together and drive this thing to get it to, hey, we got to be competitive. And, if we don't join up, man, we're going to get steamrolled forever by the SEC. So it's going to be interesting.
Well, yeah. And what's happening is, the Big Ten schools, obviously are desirous of expansion, but they're only desirous of expansion if it increases the net amount of money that they realize in this next contract. And if you think about it, it makes sense. And so what they've gone to Fox and they said, look, specifically model for us if we add USC to the conference, if we add USC and Colorado, if we add USC and Oregon and Colorado, if we add USC and UCLA and Colorado and Oregon, what's the net to the big members? Because they are not willing to dilute the pie in order to expand the reach. But if it grows the pie and it means everybody makes more money, that they'll do it. But they're asking for guarantees from the broadcast partners in advance that this would happen. So there's basically like a smorgasbord of options that are being presented to the Big Ten right now that include these different groups and how they would play out and what the financial implications would be of each. So, you can imagine that the financial mental dexterity that it takes to prepare something like this. I mean, this is not an uncomplicated product, but it's going to be really, really interesting to see what they come back with, what the numbers are, what would the impact be of adding, the Southern California media market to the Big Ten footprint. I just, like I said, I think these tier 1 rights are going to be out of sight. I think it's one of the most valuable products in all of sport, and I think they haven't even scratched the surface in terms of how much money that they can make and potentially make together. So this partnership, this expansion really could serve a lot of purposes. But thank goodness you've got a USC who's really so desirous of this happening, because without that, I don't think it could come to be a reality.
So I'm going to give you two scenarios. Give me your most optimal scenario for the Big Ten and the most likely scenario. By likely, I mean it could happen, but obviously the percentages are low. This isn't like any type of guarantee or anything like that. But, who's likely if this thing does go down to come? And then give me who would optimally come.
I think it's the most likely scenario, as you said. I don't want this to be, Nevada guaranteed me this would happen.
No, this is not a guarantee. This is a likely. This isn't.
It's likely. The most likely scenario is that USC and Colorado come to the Big Ten. I think the optimal scenario, the most desirable scenario from my standpoint would be to take all the AAU members. You take all the AAU members, so you're talking about Cal and Stanford and Washington and Utah and Arizona, who
is not
Colorado.
And explain to the listeners what AAU is, just real quick. So for some people that
AAU is basically it's a designation. It's an academic designation that sets out. There's I don't remember the exact number, but there's like 70 members colleges that qualify for this regarding certain academic standards that they have, certain resources that they have, and it's very difficult to kind of qualify for AAU membership, and only the best schools do it. And the Big Ten right now, the only member that isn't an AAU member is Nebraska, and it's only because they're on campus, their hospital moved off campus, that's the type of designation we're talking about here. And that stuff's really important to the Big Ten because a lot of this is about the research consortium. This is about the academic reputation of the schools, and that's the stuff that the presidents care about. Well, fans like you and I care about the football. Oh. The presidents are looking at much larger issues, and the academic reputation and standard of the schools matters. And the Pac-12 has got a lot of great academic schools, and that's why this makes so much sense.
Yeah. Well, that's it's pretty earth-shattering news. It would be amazing if it happened. I hope it happens, but we'll see. This is going to be a wild time. And anything else, my friend? We wrap this thing up and get back on. Get back on the boards, man.
I think this Commissioner Bowlesby thing, where he was threatening ESPN with tortious interference, has been kind of an interesting thing because that normally when people throw things around like that, they just kind of get dismissed, and maybe it's sour grapes because they're losing their thing. But obviously people are trying to tread very lightly and very carefully about this because they don't want to be viewed as trying to destroy a conference, or to they're trying to balance their personal best interests along with the future best interests without hurting the conference. So like I said, I think that Bowlesby thing, you got to keep an eye on that because ESPN could be, if more comes to light, that could be something. But this whole expansion thing is fascinating. So I eagerly await my next updates from my contacts, and as I get them, I'll share them with you.
That's perfect, my man. Well, dude, I appreciate you. People, you got to get on the boards, man. The boards are on fire. BuckeyesScoop.com, the best inside information for Ohio State football. No better time to join. We start camp up on Tuesday. We have the best updates in the industry. So if you guys want to know what's really going on inside of Ohio State football, you got to join the Scoop. So BuckeyesScoop.com. Check out our podcasts. This is Scoop World Order. We have the Morning Scoop. We have a whole slew of them on YouTube, on Spreaker. So subscribe, give us a like, leave a comment. We appreciate you guys, and we will see you on the message boards.
Ran out of propane? No need to drive to the store when you can get propane delivery straight to your door with Cinch. CYNCH. Cinch brings the tanks to you. It's easy and convenient propane home delivery. Here's how it works. Go to cinch.com, that's CYNCH.com. Enter your zip code, select your delivery date, and drop-off location. It's really that easy. Just set your used tank out for pickup the night before your delivery, and Cinch handles the rest. There's no ongoing commitment when you try Cinch, and they accept any and all tank brands for exchange. Not a Cinch customer yet? What are you waiting for? New customers can get their first propane tank exchange for just $10 with promo code TANK10 at checkout. That's CYNCH.com, promo code TANK10. Turn up the heat this summer with Cinch. Ridiculously easy propane grill tank home delivery. Limited time offer. Restrictions apply. Visit CYNCH.com/offer for details.
The rich and powerful want us to think the economy is a line on a stock market ticker. That's wrong. The economy is powered by us. It's what we create, what we buy, what we need. President Biden has proposed bold public investments in jobs and families, but more is needed. We need housing, healthcare, caregiving, action on the climate crisis, and millions of good-paying jobs. This is our moment to finally unlock prosperity for all of us. For more information, go to prosperus.org. That's prosperus.org.
Sun, surf, and seduction collide as 4 Americans return to exotic islands, hoping their sexy romances can turn into forever. Love in Paradise, the Caribbean, a 90-day story, streaming now only on Discovery Plus. Start your free trial. Terms apply.
Switching to Geico is a good idea, especially when you consider everything.
First off, Geico makes it easy to switch. They have licensed agents available 24/7 online or over the phone.
But if it's so easy, you might start thinking everything is easy, even big wave surfing. And it's not. It's actually quite difficult.
Well, if you switch to Geico, you could save hundreds on car insurance. And you could keep saving by bundling your motorcycle, boat, and RV, plus your home or renter's insurance.
But saving money might lead you to make some questionable purchases, like a 20-foot feather boa. And do you know how hard it is to clean a 20-foot feather boa?
Well, they do have an industry-leading mobile app you can use to pay your bill, file and manage a claim, or add a new driver.
But when life gets a little easier, it makes you too confident, and you start calling everyone Ace. And you're better than that.
Well, Geico has a 97% customer satisfaction rating and has been saving people money for 85 years. It's hard to beat that.
But you're right.
Switch to Geico. It's obviously a good idea. Switching to Geico is a good idea, especially when you consider everything.
First off, Geico makes it easy to switch. They have licensed agents available 24/7 online or over the phone.
But if it's so easy, you might start thinking everything is easy, even big wave surfing. And it's not. It's actually quite difficult.
Well, if you switch to Geico, you could save hundreds on car insurance. And you could keep saving by bundling your motorcycle, boat, and RV, plus your home or renter's insurance.
But saving money might lead you to make some questionable purchases, like a 20-foot feather boa. And do you know how hard it is to clean a 20-foot feather boa?
Well, they do have an industry-leading mobile app you can use to pay your bill, file and manage a claim, or add a new driver.
But when life gets a little easier, it makes you too confident, and you start calling everyone Ace. And you're better than that.
Well, Geico has a 97% customer satisfaction rating and has been saving people money for 85 years. It's hard to beat that.
But you're right.
Switch to Geico. It's obviously a good idea.